Hello, everyone.
Why is this waiting? Come on.
You done?
Nope. Now I know y'all be all waiting for this shit right here. Now I am big. Rockstar is here.
Oh my god.
Just keep waiting. Ah! Okay, now I'm done.
You sure?
Yeah. Alright. You ready to start?
I want to say something on the record. I hate new Twitter.
What's wrong with new Twitter? Even though I'm not
They
part
changed the layout of it, and it looks, even on the desktop, it looks like you're on a mobile device, and it's annoying as shit.
Oh god, no. Whatever will Vaseline do when he can't tweet out shit about invading Area 51?
Oh my god. So I was watching DJ's podcast before this, and he ended his podcast with somebody made like a compilation video of what an anime intro would be like for the Area 51 raid.
Oh god.
It was so weird.
It was actually on the news.
Oh, I know. And all over.
People doing the Naruto run.
Yeah.
If we do it, we run faster. Anyway.
Okay. So there's a dog scratching at my door, so I will let you start. I will be back in a second.
Oh, I get to start.
Yeah, you get to start.
Woo! Welcome everybody to the Apollicast, episode 4. I'll have to repeat that because that might be. Well, everybody, welcome who's watching, or if you're about to come in. Welcome to the Apollicast, episode 4, with your with your hosts, Vaseline and Rockstar. Vaseline had to go for a second because a dog was scratching at his door. But I am your most favorite co-host, Rockstar here.
Okay, I'm back. Did you successfully slander my reputation yet?
Yeah, I said I'm the favorite co-host.
I'm having a dark and stormy, so yeah, things might happen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, it was serious thunder. When I was at work, I passed out at work because I'd be up at like 6 a.m. today.
Oof.
Passed out in the office, and then all I hear is like, and I was like,
nice.
I was wide awake after that.
I'm sure you were.
Jeez. Today's episode, as I hinted at on, was it Monday?
Saturday. Oh no, Monday when we did Injustice.
Yeah, I hinted at it was something I like to do in my free time, which I had to say. Which after I said that, we went off. When I left, I said shit, because that's just a fucking masturbation joke waiting to happen. Because it's just like something you do in your free time that I love to do, and it's like shit. Somebody's gonna think of something else, and it's not that. No, I love to read. So today we're talking about our favorite authors and favorite writers. So, Vaseline, why don't you tell our lovely audience, if there's anybody watching or watching later on, when was the first time you really got into reading?
Oh, I've always been into reading. I was a kid. I used to tear through books.
Earliest age?
Not literally. Probably when I was like 3 or 4.
You sit on a throne of lies.
No, I'm serious.
Right, what book was it?
I don't fucking know.
Everybody poops.
I don't fucking know.
I think it was.
But when I was, my mom keeps telling the story. When I was 3 and 4 years old, I would just read books, and she swears up and down that I would read her college textbooks, and if she could have explained it to me, I would have understood it. I'm shit you not.
He especially loved the anatomy books about the women's reproductive system.
Oh my god. No, she wasn't. She was in business classes.
Oh. I mean, like, I guess, like, I read occasionally like with my cousin when we were younger, because he still has them. They're in his garage. The Goosebumps books.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a huge collection. So anytime I went over his house, which I used to go every weekend, I would go hang out. I stayed at his house every Friday night, Saturday all day Saturday, and then I leave Sunday night, go back home. But if it was summer, I'd stay there till Monday. My sister would go home Sunday anyway. We would read the Goosebumps book if it was raining. We can't go outside, or if it's fucking below fucking freezing in the winter. And we would just kind of read them real quick, and then we would just talk about them, that kind of stuff. I didn't become a serious reader, I think, until about 5th grade.
I became a serious reader about 3rd grade.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, no, 5th grade it was...
You said, when did I start reading? And I answered your question.
True.
You did not say serious reader.
Well, I meant like... I said, when did you really get into reading? Like, that... Never mind.
Yeah.
You already answered it. It's 5th grade. So, Vasa, what was the very first book series you ever read, cover to cover, and you just had to know what happened next? And it's got to be a book series that's more than at least 4 books.
Series that's more than 4 books?
All right, more than 3, because 3 or more.
Trying to remember what the first one would have been.
And apologies, everybody. I'm still eating dinner.
Yeah, that's why we're late.
I got hibachi.
Your fault.
Shut up. Blame work. The good thing about these corporate stooges coming is that we get free lunch. I got free Chick-fil-A today.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And I had free Jersey Mike's yesterday. And I wonder what tomorrow is. Probably tomorrow will be Little Caesars.
Probably.
Shit, I don't know. He might do fucking Moe's. My boss might do Moe's. Anyway.
My first book series, it was more than 3 books.
3 or at least 3 or more. Like if it's just 3, that's fine. Like a trilogy,
fine. Actually, I think it would be Harry Potter.
No, just kidding.
Shut up.
No, just kidding. Because that was probably the second one. I mean, for me, like my mother had the Harry Potter, the first 3 Harry Potter books, and I read them. I read the first 3, and I never read the rest of them until high school.
I read all 7.
Yeah, I didn't read the rest of them until after high school. I just got them on. I found them online illegally. Just read them. Well, not the 7th one. That one I actually went and borrowed that from a friend and read it, and it was good. I want to own them all this way. I can just, if I ever want to reread them.
Oh, I still have them somewhere. I think they're in. I have like 3 totes full of books in my closet. I need to find room for.
They're either A, at some thrift shop in Pennsylvania, B, in an attic at our first house when we moved down here, or C, they're at a fucking dump and water damaged completely because of that flood.
Oof.
I got no fucking idea. I'm guessing it's going to be the second one. We might have thrown it out and we didn't realize it, because it might have just been like fucking dirty as hell sitting in the attic, cobwebs and shit.
You stop it. You don't need to eat plastic. My cat is trying to eat a plastic bag. Stop it.
And why do you have a plastic bag?
Because I keep them as trash bags for my trash can.
You gotta hide them.
She'll find them. She'll still find them. She's a cat.
But go back to it. The first book series I really got interested in was that Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events.
That was the second book series I got into.
That was like the first major one. I would say Captain Underpants, but that one was just like I read it as a joke.
Yeah, that one's like a joke book. I read them, but it was like they still make those. No, it's not Captain Underpants anymore. It's like a spin-off series now.
Oh no, that was still publishing after we graduated high school. which is fucking crazy. Now, Lemony Snicket, I would read them non-fucking stop. Like, and here's the funny thing. I read the first 3 books in the last month of school before they let out for summer. I fucking, like, just sat there and read them.
Mm-hmm.
I checked the first one out. I start reading it. It's right in the middle of the day. Start reading it. I take it back to class. I'm reading it during class. Get on the bus. I'm still reading it. I get home. I'm reading it. I finish it. I come back the next day, and I'm like, next, second book. Fucking read that in 2 days. Got the third book. Like, school's getting out in 2 days. And they said, you need to return that book by tomorrow. It's like, shit.
Well, better read faster.
Well, then I had to get them all. I got them all during this. Well, I got most of them during the summer. They're all gone now. I lost them all. 6. Then I would say, and this is what leads into our next topic. The next book series I got into was, let me get a little backstory for our viewers. I grew up in a small coal mine found town. The town was found because of a fucking coal mine. I think the population was, if I remember correctly, Holly's population is about 50,000, maybe less. So, I mean, we had a fucking drive-in movie theater until I turned fucking 15. I was already down here at the time, but they still had a drive-through theater. No, there was a movie theater. Don't get me wrong. It was like an 8. It was an 8 theater, but I really like going to the drive-through because they would play old movies. Anyway,
drive-thrus are cool.
They need to bring them back. Anywho, we're not talking about drive-thrus. We're talking about books. But again, backstory. So middle school hits, and I think it had to be the winter. It was either after the New Year. No, yeah, it was after Christmas time. It was after New Year's. A lot of kids were just. I saw like people reading. They were like holding books and talking and stuff, and like this chatter was going around. This new book series finally just got brought to our school.
Mm-hmm.
And I was curious because I was still reading Lemony Snicket and finishing that up, but this book was like the talk of the town. That little book series was Cirque du Freak by Darren Shan,
which I have not read, believe it or not.
Which I'm going to fucking kill you. Just kidding. So popular that I went to go try to get the first book on hold. The librarian looked at me. She's like, "You're number 6 on the line of waiting. 5 other people before me already put in a request the book." Keep in mind, they had 3 copies of the first 11 because the 12th book wasn't released until 2006. We hadn't got it. So they had 3 copies of each book, and all 3 of them, and like the only 2. Going back to our previous episode about the JoJo, remember that I told the story about how I went to Barnes and Books a Million, and they only had like 3 volumes of JoJo, and they weren't in the right order. Pretty much same with Cirque. The ones when I first went there, they had book 3, book 8, and book 10 on the shelf. That's it. And the second I left, those 3 were gone. Because I looked back, go see where my friend was, and 3 people were in line holding those books. The book series is that popular. So, I wait about a week. I go back. Only one person returned. 2 people returned their first copies, so I was getting closer on the list. Book 2 was on the shelf. I thought to myself, I got 2 weeks to hold that book. I already looked on the computer. Nobody put it on hold yet. Let me check it out. I'll hold on to it. I'll come back tomorrow, maybe without the first book, and I can read the first 2 books. So I did that. Next period is my home ec class. Yes, they had home ec and they had woodshop.
Wow, you still had home ec and workshop? They didn't have that down here.
No, that's what shocked me. No, they still had the wood. They still have it up there. But we all went to home ec, and this guy wasn't really my friend. I don't remember his name. It started with a D, I think. I don't remember. It wasn't really my friend, just a classmate I would chat to because he sat next to me. Like, we never hung out at lunch or anything. We had a thing at my school up north that after lunch, in your next block class, they had a thing called silent reading. This was a way to bring everybody's Lexile scores up because they were very low.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's up. So they would give you 10 minutes after lunch. Bell would ring to go back to class. You get in your class. Second bell rings. You have 10 minutes to either A, go to the bathroom, B, go to the library and get a book, or C, get comfortable. Or D, all the above, if you're feeling frisky. So I go to home ec. I only had it was the second book, and I'm like, shit, I don't want to read. I had nothing to read. I look over. That motherfucker's reading the first book, and he's finished up with it. The second second bell rang, because I was gonna go to the library and go see if the first book was in. He just finished it, and he was going to get the second book.
So you just swap books.
Yeah, I was like, hold on. I was like, you got the first book of Cirque du Freak, right? He's like, yeah. And I pull out the second book. I was like, you want to swap because it's like 40. We got 45 minutes to read.
Mm-hmm. Man, I wish I got that.
Oh, it was cool. Well, they shortened it down to half an hour by 7th grade. It was a half an hour.
Even still though.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what the shitty thing about it is with in 6th grade, you just would read. That's it. 7th grade, you had to write the title. You got a piece of paper.
You had to write like a summary of it.
Yeah, kind of. What I'll explain because it's actually kind of a cool thing. The cool thing about it. 7th grade, there was paper, so you had to write the title, write the author. On the side of it, there was the Lexile score for like what Lexile was. You had to not write a brief summary. You just had to list how many pages you read, from pages what to what, and how many you read, and then you had to sign your name. And then on the very bottom, they had a star system, like how you would recommend this. Would you recommend this book?
Mm-hmm.
And what the teachers did was they piled it. They gave it to the administrative, and the administrative would take the top 10 books, and they would have a list at the library, so you know what books were the hot cakes.
Yeah.
Cirque was on that list for a lot of months until fucking another Harry Potter book came out, and then Cirque slowly just started going lower and lower down the list till it was at number 10 for a while. Because I think by that time, like Twilight was starting to come out.
Yeah. My sister read that.
My aunt does, and I always pick on her because they're fucking pussies. So we swapped books. I read the first book, I finished the first book by the end of the day. He finished the second book. He gives me back the second book. I give him back the first book. He goes gets the third book, and we kind of did that until we were both like up to the 5th book. But by that time, we were able to get them a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
Because more majority of people read them. And I didn't have any bookstores up north. How I got those Lemony Snickets, they were at Walmart. There was no bookstores until I moved down here. So yeah, Cirque was, and then when I moved down here, they had Books A Million, Barnes and Nobles, and I bought them all. And I'm happy to say I still have all 12. These are original covers because they re-released them with new covers. I kind of want
I lost mine.
Oh no, I have all my Cirques. I even have, my grandmother bought me it because they made a movie out of the first 3 books. It was shit. Wasn't that good? I'm not saying it's not. I'd rather watch that than Mr. Hush. That's saying something.
I mean, anything is better than Mr. Hush.
Yes. The only problem I have with that movie is that they got 2 characters wrong. They cast John C. Reilly as Lark Cripsley, and Willem Dafoe as Gavner Pearl. Now, I'll get into the details about why, but short term, Larkin Cripsley is a noble vampire who doesn't take shit, and he's very, very, like, noble. And Gavner Pearl's kind of like not really like a clumsy guy, he's a goofball. He's the kind of guy who'll have fun, but he'll be serious at times. So if they had swapped the roles, and John C. Reilly would have been perfect for Gavner, and Willem Dafoe would have been perfect for Larkin Cripsley. Now, I'm not getting anything wrong with John C. Reilly because he actually did read all 12 books before when he got the casting. He sat and read all 12 books. He loved them. So, but my grandmother bought it. It's the first 3 books in one big book, so I have that. So I usually bring that if I want to read the series first, because my first 3 copies are they're really torn up because I've read them so many fucking times. But yeah, so like Lemony Snicket, Series of Fortunate Events, and Harry Potter got me into reading. Cirque du Freak is why I stayed. But excellent. Who's your favorite author of all time?
Of all time, fuck you. You don't have just one.
Okay, all right. Let me rephrase that. Your top 5 favorite authors from 5 to 1.
Okay. Top 5
authors or writers. You can even even they're just writing short stories only. No, like fucking 500-page novel.
Okay. From 5 being least favorite, 1 being most favorite.
Yes. Well,
okay.
This is top 5. So someone that you would read if you kind of wanted to, and then to somebody you would read in a fucking heartbeat.
Okay. So, number 5 is probably the one I actually just started. Oh, can't see it. Nope, it's not reverse good. Haruki Murakami. I just started reading his stuff. It's really good so far.
Okay. Number 5.
That's number 5. Number 4. I don't know if she's written anything recently, but I read one of her series in high school. Cinda Williams Chima. She's like one of those teen authors, I guess you would call her, but she wrote The Warrior Heir, Wizard Heir, and Dragon Heir, the Heir series. It's really good. I actually have them in my closet somewhere.
Get a bookshelf.
I know I need another one.
Walmart.
Shut up.
$30.
I know. I'm working on it. Jesus. Okay, so that was 4.
Help out.
I know.
Shit, I'll build them. I built mine.
Oh, I could totally build mine. I could build them. That's not the issue. It's just not gonna have money to get them.
And room.
Yeah, and room. My room is a mess.
Sell me your armor. Sell me it for $20, and then I'll take the armor. Then you only got to pay $10 for your thing, and you'll have room. Anyway, continue.
Okay. Number 3. Jeez. See, I know who number 1 is. It's just okay. 2 and 3 I've gotta figure out. Hey, Petite, how are you doing? Welcome in, my friend.
Hello, Petite. How you doing? Petite, you got any books you read? Tell us any favorite authors you got in the comments so we can kind of compare notes.
Compare notes?
Well, like compare, because maybe he's
compare. Yeah.
Maybe he has one that he's like we can find out new stuff. Because I'm willing to read anything except romance. I fucking hate romance.
Okay, so
anyway.
Okay, I have a suggestion. After we do authors, we do series.
That works.
All right. So because some series I like, but I don't know if they've written anything else after that.
Gotcha. You're on number 3.
Yeah, I know. 3.
Sorry, Petite, if I sound like you're hearing munching.
Yeah, he's eating dinner.
You have to take your time eating hibachi, otherwise you're gonna be like fucking hungry.
Oh, I know.
Damn you, Japanese! Why is your food so good? It's such shit awesome where you're at, but your fucking food makes you hungry. Anyway.
Number 3. I don't know. I'm having a hard time picking. Great to see you. Wonderful to see you. I'm tired, still awake for some reason. Love to read. I don't know about authors though. L. Frank Baum is a huge inspiration for me. Who's that? What did he write?
Sounds like a fantasy author.
Yeah. Oh, number 3, Kurt Vonnegut.
Mm-hmm.
That's who it was.
What did he write?
Slaughterhouse-Five.
Never heard of it.
It's one of those classic novels you'll read, but it's really damn good. It's about someone in the aftermath of World War II. I don't exactly remember. I think he was part of the British Army. I don't remember, but I remember.
Oh, Frank. He wrote Wizard of Oz.
What? Oh, he did. Okay.
Mm-hmm. You know what the funny thing is? Because now that he said that, I pictured that one hardcover we saw at Barnes and Nobles with Steph of the Wizard of Oz.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Memoirs of a Geisha. I've heard of that one actually. I've heard of Memoirs of a Geisha.
A geisha bot, perhaps.
Is her name Serena?
And is she in a relationship with the mayor? Tune in for Borderlands. Tune in for Borderlands pre-sequel next Wednesday.
We're finishing it next week, damn it.
We have to, even if we got to do 2 days.
The author Robert K. Macy, he wrote the biography of Nicholas II in Alexandria and also Catherine II of Russia. Oh, you read biographies? Nice, Petite.
I'm iffy on biographies for myself. Number 2.
Trying to think. Someone. Most of my books are biographies. Oh, okay. I don't have a lot of biographies, but I have a lot of like high fantasy and sci-fi and stuff like that. I run the gamut pretty much.
Horror, thriller. I think I got like one autobiography. Yep, I got one. Hardcore Diaries by Mick Foley. That's about it. Number 2, Vasily.
Read especially quite a lot of the Romanovs. Like fantasies as well.
Fantasies are good.
Yeah, that's my number 1, but I'm trying to think of who my number 2 would be because it's someone. Don't.
Go ahead. Who's the same person I'm thinking of? Oh, we discussed earlier today.
Actually, yeah.
I said it was fine to me.
I mean, my number 2 is H.P. Lovecraft, but I'm not gonna get too much into him because, spoiler, we're doing a special episode on him.
Yes, but you'll never know when.
And my number 1 is J.R.R. Tolkien.
I thought it was actually gonna be George
R.R. Martin. I mean, I like his stuff, but I haven't read a lot of it actually.
Yeah, because it takes 9 years for him to write a sequel.
Right. That's why I said we do series separate from
authors. All right, my top 5 favorite. Let's see how fast that.
Shut up. I wasn't really prepared to do a list.
Number 5, Heather
Lord
Brewer.
of the Rings. Heather Brewer.
She wrote. Well, now it's Zach Brewer because she's a transgender.
Oh.
He wrote the Chronicles of Vladimir Todd, which I read in high school. Which then she also wrote the Slayer Chronicles, which is a spin-off, sort of like a prequel in between of another character from that series. Then number 4.
I like Roald Dahl too, Petite.
Ronald Donnelly wrote.
Roald Dahl wrote the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
that, The Witches.
The Witches, BFG, James and the Giant Peach, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. I like that one.
Number 4, Thomas Harris. He wrote the Hannibal Lecter book series. He's the guy who invented Hannibal Lecter.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, just finished reading Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs, and I'm taking a break before I read Hannibal again, and then Hannibal Rising. Number 3, Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah.
Number 2, H.P. Lovecraft. And number 1, Darren Shan. Because I own more books by him than any other fucking author. Alright.
You like Lewis Carroll as well? It's been a while since I've read any Lewis Carroll.
Fuck. What did he write? Shit, I know that name. I can't think of it. I'm drawing a blank.
I don't remember. Honestly.
Fuck. No, it's not Lion. It's not Chronicles. That's C.L. Lewis.
Yeah, that's C.S. Lewis. Chronicles of Narnia. That's C.S. Lewis.
Yeah.
All the Christian imagery. That's literally all that book series is.
Alice
in Wonderland. That's right.
Oh.
There's so many versions of Alice in Wonderland.
You see, everybody likes the Tim Burton one.
There's the Tim Burton one. There's the American McGee one, which is what the game series is based off of.
Yeah.
There's the Lewis Carroll one.
Which is the one, he's the one
T mentioned, which is the original.
That's the original. The other one, based on the video games, that one's
that's American McGee.
That's Insanity, and then
the
So no. Alright, Vaseline, favorite book series, 5-1.
Okay, series 5-1.
Petite, I agree with you. I'm not a big fan of the Tim Burton movie. I
actually didn't see the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland.
I watched it, and I watched the Nostalgia Critics review. Petite, go watch the Nostalgia Critics review of Alice in Wonderland. It's fucking hysterical. Love it. He just fucking bashes that movie and makes fun of it.
Is that the one that talks with the epic voice?
What? No, that's the one that goes like.
That's the one there's that Honest Critic.
Yeah, that's Honest Critic. No, Nostalgia Critic's the one. It's like, hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic. I remember, so you don't have to.
Yeah.
That's Doug Walker. No, I thought you were talking about the one where I go like, violence in video games. Or have I heard that? Cinema snap.
I love the visuals. I hate everything else about it.
See, I agree with Petite. I loved the CGI visuals because it made it, but like.
Oh, I actually did see that one.
Yeah.
I remember it now.
I actually
didn't like it.
I did like the Red Queen's thing with the tart, because that actually made it more like the book where she got mad that the frog ate her strawberry tart and fucking cut his head off. But the rest of that shit with like a civil war and shit, that's just stupid. Just stupid. Okay. Favorite book series, Vaseline?
Okay, series number 5. Number 5 is the Air series that I mentioned earlier. 4, Red Queen is my queen. Number 4 is actually to be. But you already know what my number 1 is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give everybody a hint.
Actually, no. That's not my number 1.
Oh. You shall not pass!
Yeah, that one. Damn, that's actually a sound thing I can do. Hold on, let me get it. But I'm gonna list them off while I go. So number 4 is probably Hunger Games.
Never read it.
The book series is great. The movies were not that good.
Never read it, because anytime I went to go try to check out the first book, it was on hold for a fucking year.
The series was really good though.
Never read it, no. I got a chance to read it. I might try to pick it up.
But so then number 3 is oh, there's the thing. Hang on.
Petite agrees.
Yeah. I love Hunger Games. Hunger Games was great. I love the book series. I did not care for the movies too much. I actually never saw Mockingjay. I saw the first one. I saw the first movie and that was it.
I never saw any of them.
It did not hold up to the book series. Number 3 is Harry Potter.
That's all I know is the whistle.
Yeah. The whistle and the 3 fingers, which is actually the Girl Scout salute. The 3 fingers like this, that's how Girl Scouts salute. Boy Scouts is 2 fingers, from what I remember. Number 3 is Harry Potter.
Oh, Harry Potter?
Yes.
It's the boy live, yes it is. Peter, you're drunk. Ah, fuck off. You're giving mine is
Snape. Snape.
No,
Snape.
No, I had to do it.
Snape. Severus Snape.
Dumbledore. That was actually the Puppet Pals. I never realized it. I found out recently that Puppet Pals is based off of an animated. Somebody made an animation of it, and then somebody made a Puppet Pals version.
Oh, really? I never saw the animated one.
I just found out about it because I watched Fine Brothers React, and it was YouTubers react to Try Not to Sing Along to classic videos, and that was one of them. And one of the girls that was doing it is an animator, and I watch I can't remember her channel's name, but I watch her. I recently just got into watching her, and she talked about that she knows the people who did the animation of it. She's like, yeah, they did the animation. The fucking Puppet Pals one was more famous.
Nice.
Number 2?
Yeah, number 2 is Game of Thrones. Which I still read. I've read the first book. I have not read any of the other ones.
I gotta get them because I really do want to read them.
I have Dance of Dragons, but I haven't even gotten to that point yet. That's the 5th book in the series. I don't know when he's gonna release the 6th.
20 years later.
Yeah, right.
He's like cryogenically frozen.
So much later, the old narrator got tired of waiting, and they had to hire a new one. Yeah.
The end.
Yeah, right.
That took a dark turn. Guys, the dragons are coming, I swear. I still need to show you it, because George R.R. Martin thought it was the funniest thing ever when they spoofed him on South Park.
Oh, really?
Where they did the Game of Thrones theme, but it was a bunch of guys going, "Wiener, wiener, wiener."
Oh, I've seen that actually.
They asked him at a red carpet, or they interviewed him. Was like, "What'd you think about it?" I saw my life.
Hold on, I want to see if I can find it. But my favorite one. Yeah, let me see if I can find it.
Thank you, Petite. Thank you, Petite, for thinking that our podcast is awesome.
Thank you, Petite.
You're
awesome.
Yeah, you're awesome too. I was kind of nervous doing the topic because some people are probably like, nerd talk, because we talked about podcasts, we talked about Doctor Who, and then we talked about JoJo, which JoJo was like, all right, great. It was perfect. This one was a little nervous, and I was like, let's get it out of the way, see how it goes.
Here it is. I think I found it. It's the entire thing is Peter Dinklage.
Actually, funny thing, that was my ringtone for a while, and it went off of Barnes and Noble. Books a Million. I'm in the aisle looking for manga, and all you're
The entire thing is just someone going, Peter Dinklage, Peter Dinklage, Peter Dinklage.
No. Wiener, one.
I've seen someone who's had the Wiener on the Wiener one as their ringtone on their phone, and I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, just from that. And the whole episode, he was like, guys, the pizza is coming. I swear, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome. Because how he's talking about the dragons.
Nice. Oh yeah, but number 1, Lord of the Rings.
Still haven't read that one.
The books are really good.
I haven't. You know what the funny thing is? I never watched the third movie.
The movies are also good because it's Peter Jackson.
Yeah, I own them now. I finally got them in a 3 DVD box set at Walmart. It was like $5. It was a $5 bin, so I got it for dirt cheap. I just never watched the third film. I watched the first one. I loved it. I even watched the animated one when it was on Cartoon Network when I was like.
There was an animated one?
Yeah, there's 2 of them.
I didn't know that.
There's 2 of them. But one of them's really cartoonish. The other one's more like dark and gritty.
Oh.
But like still like kid friendly, but like more like it felt like you're watching the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that one was really good because it's pretty much like actually not the Peter Jackson movie. It's actually they did scenes actually from the book. I think.
Keep on having a good stream. Wish you the best. You guys are awesome. Thank you, Petit. I hope you have a good night, my friend.
Have a good night, my friend.
Thank you for coming by.
Fuck. Now here comes my 5 favorite book series. Fuck. Damn it. Alright. Number 5. The Slayer Chronicles by Heather Brewer, because I only read the first 2 and they're okay, but I like the Vladimir Todd one a lot more. Number 4, the Millennium series by Stieg Larsson, the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh yeah, I think I've read Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, and I have the original Swedish movies. I think they were Swedish. Now. I have the originals.
Yeah, I have all the Swedish ones. I have the Rooney Mara, Daniel Craig, and I even got the Girl with the Spiders one, which I still haven't watched.
I don't have that one.
I haven't watched it yet. I have it now. I have all the books. I have Girl with Dragon Tattoo, Girl Play with Fire, Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest, and then the Girl in the Spider's Web, which wasn't written by Stieg Larsson because he had a heart attack and he died.
But it wasn't written by him, or it was, but it was edited by his son or something.
It was edited by a different author. It's not any related. No, what happened?
So it's not like Robert Jordan and the Wheel of Time series. No. Another good series, by the way.
It was after I think the third book was released or was going to be published. He had a heart attack and he died at like 53. His lover, they weren't married because I found out later Stieg Larsson was a neo-Nazi.
Ouch.
Yeah. I'm like, shit, I own a neo-Nazi's book. Not really like hardcore neo-Nazi, like he like something like he didn't trust the government. That type of, like, not
so
like racist.
Anarchist?
Kind of like that, yeah. So he never married lover because he was afraid.
Yeah.
That so. But she found his manuscripts. She was digging through the house, and she found some of his manuscripts for a 4th, a 5th, and even a 6th. And a rough idea for a 6th book, I think it was. But she didn't own the rights because she was willing to. Because she said Stig said I can finish writing these books if he died. Mm-hmm. But his father and his son and his brother were like, no. They're our property. We'll look at it and we'll decide.
Yeah.
I think she brought them to court about it too, but they ultimately won. So another guy, David, Lankradzen, I can't pronounce it, but he wrote the 4th one. A lot of people say it's not that good. I read it and I thought, okay. It's not as good as like the first 3. It's good, like it's a good read, but it's just weird reading a book by a different author with ideas from the original, but still there's a different writing style to it because even when one author, everybody has a different opinion about things. So one person might say this manuscript's great, don't change it. Another person say this sucks, rewrite it.
Yeah, that's why you need a team to do something like that.
Exactly. I don't know if Stieg Larsson's former lover, I should say, because he's dead, kind of worked with this guy to kind of like in the mindset of Stig. I have no idea. I didn't really do a lot of research on it because
I would think that for something like that you would.
That's the thing. I don't know, because of the whole lawsuit. She might have been like barred from having
Yeah.
any idea from doing it. So that was number three. Number three. Oh, the City Trilogy by Darren Shan. That one is one of his first for like a mature audience, like more for like adults.
Yeah.
But it's really good. It's 3 books. Um, Actually, funny enough, the first 2 books there are 2 different main characters that narrate it, but they're both set at the same time.
Hmm.
Because when you read the second book, it's a different character, but they make mention of things that happened in the first book. Like, yeah, the guy picked up the one dude. I don't know why he's still alive, and they're like, oh yeah, you heard about that? He's on the run. That kind
Hmm.
of stuff. And then the third book is set 10 years later, following both characters and both narrators in different parts of the book.
Hmm.
It's majority of the being the second character doing it, because the whole plot line of the City Trilogy is like the city at Party Central, and the head mob boss, the Cardinal, who is like the big head honcho. He made the fucking Pope beg, that kind of deal. Like, there's
Wow.
myths about him. But like the first book follows Rami, who comes to the city wanting to be a gangster with his uncle. His uncle gets gunned down by the Cardinal's men as they're about to bring them back in, but Capsy saved because the Cardinal had a nightmare that Capsy killed him. It took over, which just sets it up. There's also things of Incan origin. Hold on a second. Anyway, things of Incan origins, stuff like that. There's a killer called Pasu Flami. I think that's how I pronounce it. It's kind of he's a African American guy with a bald head, and he has 2 tattoos on the sides of his face that are in the shape of snakes that the open mouths go to touch his lips. But he's a fucking serial killer that also works for the Cardinal.
Hmm.
The second book follows Algier, which he's one of the security at Central, these foot soldiers. Can't remember the name, but there's a name they have. But he's tasked by the Cardinal to investigate a murder of a girl, which turns out was Algieri's girlfriend, which sends Algieri down this path that there's no turning back from. And also, he crosses paths with Paso Whammy. There's a huge twist at the end, and then the final book just follows these characters 10 years later and all that, and it was good. So that's 3. Number 2, The Demonata by Darren Shan.
What's that one about? You there? He's still there. Police sounds. I guess I can get rid of that.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
Rosie. I will be right back. Hold on.
Okay. Alright. I'm hopefully back. I don't know if anybody can hear me. My phone went off. I'll wait for Vaseline to get back. I don't know where he went. think he had to go take a poop. So I don't know. I don't know what he needed. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Yeah, that's the first time somebody's phone called my phone when we're doing that. Demonata. That was Darren Shan's follow-up after Cirque was about to be done. Follows 3 protagonists, each narrating a different book, involving demons and mages and magic and werewolves. It was an interesting concept. It was a 10-book series. And there was 3 different main characters. So yeah, Grubbs Grady, Colonel Fleck, and Beck McCannon. So it goes like this with narrators. The first book is Grubbs, second book is Colonel, third book is Grubbs again, fourth book is Beck, which ironically the book is called Beck. Fifth book is Grubbs, and then their narration is the same order, but it's mirrored. So it goes back to Grubbs, Beck, Grubbs, Colonel, then Grubbs finishes it off. And each of them, the first, second, and third book are set in different timelines. The first book will be set in present day. The second book, it's hinted that it's most likely set in the 60s. And then the fourth book is set in BCE era in Ireland. Set hundreds of thousands of years ago, when there was fortresses and stuff. And
there was not hundreds of thousands of years ago.
Yeah. Well, hold on, I'll get it correct. I'm gonna pull it out. God, man.
Because hundreds of thousands of years ago, there weren't even humans.
No, I'll have to look it up. Give me a second. No, because it's the whole thing is that Beck is a healer, a cleric, kind of like a cleric. It's another word for it. And these demons are just running around and shit. Because usually the demons can't come unless you summon them or you open a portal or a tunnel. Which a tunnel requires a lot of things. They go into details about that. It was very good. And then, of course, number 1. Well, let me go find out about Beck real quick. Demonata series. The Demonata. There's actually 2 trailers they had out for these books. The first one, there's only 2 trailers. They're only released in the UK, these trailers, because they're actually on TV. The first one was for Demon Apocalypse, which is the 6th one, and then the 10th book, Hell's Heroes. Oh, no, I didn't want Blood Beast. I wanted Beck. Oh, no, I lied. It's set in Ireland around 1600 years ago from the first book.
So about 400 AD.
Yep. Because the first book is will be set in present day, and then it's the protagonist of the book is the central character Beck is set in Ireland around 1600 years ago. 450 AD.
Yeah, I was close.
Oh, Colonel's in the 1970s. But the main demon masters, what they call them, they're the stronger demons, is Lord Loss, who he's the demon master that feeds on your sorrow. So if somebody a wedding is a fucking buffet for this guy, but a suicidal person contemplating suicide is a nice fucking bag of Cheetos. He thrives on misery, and his description is so fucking.
Then wouldn't that be a funeral, not a wedding?
No, he thrives on misery. Funerals are people are crying.
That's funerals.
That's what I said. A funeral.
At first you said a wedding.
Oh, let's say a funeral. Yeah, no, a funeral is a fucking golden corral for this guy, and person contemplating suicide is just a nice bag of Cheetos. His description is really the descriptions Darren Shan does for these demons are fucking crazy, because apparently these demons have no creativity, so they just take things out of the real world and they put it and make it their body out of it, Lord Lost is described to being a pale red demon whose body looks like it was just mashed up by like clay and it's all lumpy.
Mm.
He has no like he has like regular hands, but he has other extensions that come out that fold on his body, kind of like a spider.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no hands at the end. There's just like fingertips, like a
What?
fingertip. It's like a lump. It's like just like a little like a lump, kind of like
Oh,
Patrick Starr's
yeah.
stub. And he doesn't walk; he levitates, and he has two lumpy fleshy pieces for legs. He always looks like he's like the saddest. He looks like the saddest creature ever, and he's got tiny cuts that always ooze blood. And then you got like fucking Artery, who was in the first book, who's like a size of a small child with a head twice as larger than a regular adult male's head, pale green skin, has mouths in his hands, and his hair is always a different insect, like it's cockroaches, lice, maggots. And he doesn't have eyes; he has fireballs for eyes. The description of these demons are fucking crazy. And then number one, of course, is Cirque du Freak. I could always pick that book up. Cirque du Freak follows Darren Shan, not the author, just, who loves spiders, and him and his friends find out about a freak show that's come to their town called the Cirque du Freak. They end up getting tickets, and they find, but his one friend, Steve Leopard, finds out one of the performers, Larkin Cripsley, who has a performing spider named Madame Octa, turns out to be a vampire. So Steve wants Lauren to make him a vampire, and it sends Darren down this road that he has. It's a dark road that he's not going to be able to turn back from. So it involves vampires, war, loyalty, and like just other things, and destiny. Destiny's like the main focus point, like destiny. But this is where I go back to talking about the movie, because Larkin Cripsley in the book, he's the main vampire. He's very, very like he's loyal, but he's very, very like wise. Like he's the type of guy that
Conniving?
would not conniving. Hell no, Larkin is not called the conniving. He's a very loyal vampire. He's the type of guy you want to have if you're surrounded by vampire hunters. He's the one you want have behind your back, watching your back, because he will stay loyal to you. He's very sophisticated. That's the word I was looking for. And he's always wearing red. His favorite color is red. He has a long scar on his one side of his face that goes on his cheek all the way down to his mouth. Makes it look like his mouth is kind of extended. He's got a crooked smile, which they explain in the 7th book how he got it, and they go into more detail with the prequel series, which is 4 books, the saga of Larkin Cripsley, going from his young childhood all the way up to the first book, learning how he joined the vampire clan and everything. That book series was really good. And it just shows like Darren, like just being able to see how vampires truly are. They're not like fucking Dracula, where they come and suck your blood at night. They're very loyal creatures that respect life. They respect humans, and they don't feast upon them. Like they don't drain their blood. They just take like a little. Like they describe it as that, they knock them out. They don't even have fangs either. They have their nails are longer, a little bit longer, and they're super sharp. They're sharper than a knife.
Mm-hmm.
They cut a little bit. They'll drink a little bit of blood, probably like a pint of blood or two. Then their spit can heal wounds. So a little bit of spit, then it turns into a small scar. But each 3 books follows their own kind of like arc. So they actually in the UK they released them into arcs where like the first 3 books was called Vampire Blood, which is kind of just explaining a little bit about vampires and stuff. Vampire Rights explains more about the clan and how the vampire clan works. The vampire clan in this series, they're not a bunch of pussies like in Twilight where they sparkle. They would rather have you Give me a second, because... Give me a second. Okay, back again. God damn it. Vampires, yes, they're not pussies. You, for example, let's say, Vaseline, you became a vampire. You're part of the clan. If you went into battle and you ran away from battle because you were going to get you probably would have lost a limb, you would be shunned. They would rather you lose an eye for the clan than, keep it.
Mm-hmm.
That loyal. To the point, like, even if, like, they're missing fingers and like, all their scars are, like, battle marks. Somebody a vampire who has, like, no scars is deemed, like, you're a disgrace to the clan. They're very loyal, and they're very, very, very... They love to fight. They have their own governing laws. They have the vampire generals, which are pretty much they're the ones that keep the clan in line. And then they have the vampire princes, which are the leaders.
Mm-hmm.
So vampire rights. Vampire War explains the war. I don't want to get into it about who they're fighting, because they are introduced in book 3. But it starts the war called the War of the Scars, because they call it that because of vampires, how they're made. They cut the tips of all 10 of their fingertips, both the vampire and the human who wants to become a vampire, and they press them together into the blood transfusions. You become a half vampire, which means you can still walk around during the day. You don't have to drink so much blood. You can't flint, which is like a supersonic speed. They can run really fast. You don't have the healing spit. You don't have the knockout gas. What else? Oh, and vampires don't live forever in the series. If you're a half vampire, for every 5 years that pass, you age 1. So, for example, if you're 25, right now, if you're 25, about to turn 26, you gotta wait another 5 years. You would be 30 in Earth years, but you only be 26 after 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
A full vampire ages every 10 years. So every 10 years that pass, you'll age 1. But they said, like, the oldest living vampire is a prince. His name is Periscyle. He actually sailed with Christopher Columbus, and he knew William Shakespeare.
Hmm.
And he helped Bram Stoker write Dracula by feeding him a bunch of lies.
Nice.
He's hinted in Cirque du Freak that he told him a bunch of lies, but in the saga Learn Corruptly, it's explained that Bram Stoker knew about the clan because Paris told him a lot more, but asked him to, kind of fictionalize it to keep them a secret. But yeah. There's other books I could talk about Darren Shan all night. Alright. Let's go back to you. I know you just talked about reading that one book you were telling me about. You mentioned it earlier. Would you like to explain to the audience like a small plot summary, like the title of it, a small plot summary, just to get them interested?
Oh, the Murakami book?
Yes.
So the title of the book is called The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually not that far into it yet. But
Right.
Actually just about on the second chapter. I've only read chapter 1, but for right now it's written by in the Japanese style. But translated into English, so but from what I understand, this guy lost his job, or he quit his job so he could stay at home, be a stay-at-home dad. And then these weird things, like his dog goes missing and he goes looking for his dog, and then his wife is working all these long crazy hours and he's just sitting at home trying to find the dog, and the wife's getting irritated with him. And since I'm not that far, I'll just read the back of the book.
Do it.
I'm only on the second chapter. But in a Tokyo suburb, a young man named Toru Okada searches for his wife's missing cat. Oh, it's his cat. That's right. I thought he had a dog. No, the neighbor had a dog. And then for his wife, in a netherworld beneath the city's placid surface. As these searches intersect, he encounters a bizarre group of allies and antagonists. Gripping, prosthetic, and suffused with comedy and menace, this is an astonishingly imaginative detective story, an account of a disintegrating marriage and an excavation of the buried secrets from Japan's forgotten campaign in Manchuria during World War II. So it sounds interesting. I'm only in chapter 2, so I'm actually not that far into it because I haven't had time to read it much.
Mm-hmm.
But so far, it's good. So I like the writing in it a lot.
And we got somebody saying the Earth is flat.
Earth is round, my friend.
The Earth is round. Not flat like pizza, it's round like basketball. Anywho. Well, I can talk about a book I just actually finished because I had to watch front desk at work. Finished it at work.
Okay, if the Earth is flat, go walk off the edge. If you come back alive, the Earth is round.
Yes. And if you fall off, well, shit. I finished it that Saturday. Read it cover to cover. It was really fucking good. This is a book I had to wait 7 fucking years to read, and I'm so glad I finally got my hands on it.
Was it the one that was published only in the UK?
Yes. It is a book by Darren Shan. Shocker. It's called Lady of the Shades. It was another book written for like an adult audience. This book was only released in the UK and Ireland. Finally found it off Amazon. It does ship from the UK, so it took about a week to get here. I did read it. I'll read the back. In a hotel room in Chile, an assassin washes blood from his clothes as he receives word of a new job. Miles away in the twisting streets of London, American writer Ed is tormented by the ghosts of his brutal past. An unseen, a plot churning into motion that will blur the boundaries between what's real and what's not. Ensnared in an affair with the beautiful wife of a dangerous crime lord, Ed fights to keep the deadly secret hidden. But with each turn, his past is catching up with him. That's it.
Nice.
Pretty much, Ed is a writer who writes about the supernatural, and he has ghosts of his former past, but he falls in love with a woman who is the wife of a mob boss called the Turk. He's Turkish. And it's, I don't want to get into it, but like Ed has a very dark secret about his past, and it's just all these twists and turns and stuff. It makes you think like one thing, and then this is another, and the fucking ending was just crazy. I was like, what the fuck? It's only about only 312 pages, and there's a prologue and a prologue and a epilogue. So counting those, there's 23 chapters. Only a 23 chapter book, but it was really good. It's a one-off book. This one, if you can get your hands on it, it's on Amazon. For paperback copies, about $11. They do have a hardcover, but it's a used copy I saw on Amazon, and it was like used. Might have highlighted. I was like, nope. I'll take the paperback that's new for $11. Weird thing about London, I didn't realize, when like in books when they do like when a character's talking, they have the the 2 commas at the top.
The quotation marks.
Quotations, thank you. Couldn't think of the word. London, they only have 1 quotation mark when a character's talking.
Yeah, that's another thing America changed when they split off from England. Or the UK, rather.
it was weird reading the first 2 chapters. Like, are they talking or is it inner monologue? And I was like, nope. So now I got used to it towards chapter 5. So good, so fucking good. Loved it. The fuck. Oh. Let me see. Right now I'm reading, I told Vasson I got it. I have at home, I'm reading a Norse mythology written by Neil Gaiman.
Oh, Neil Gaiman. He's the one who wrote Good Omens.
That and
fantastic Amazon series, by the way.
Still haven't watched it.
Fantastic.
He also wrote the Sandman comic books. The Norse mythology book is actually it's not really like a detailed history about Norse mythology. It's actually just tales about 3 different gods: Loki, Odin, and Thor. But they're written really well, and it's kind of funny, like having it where Thor loses his hammer, and he has to disguise himself as a woman, but it's kind of hard when he's got a big beard and a giant appetite.
I mean, bearded lady.
True. Then I got to read it. Mythology, Timeless Tales of Gods, a Hero. Did not read it. I thought it was only about Greek mythology. Went back on Amazon to show somebody at work. And they said, this thing also has Norse mythology and Roman mythology and possibly more. And I'm like, shit. Oh, well. Nice. That one more has like a detail of each god, like Greek god, like Hades and Zeus, but also has a story. So it's kind of cool. There's only like each of them were $20 off Amazon. And then I got the novelization of Assassin's Creed Odyssey because I beat the game, which I can now prove that Cassandra is the true main protagonist, not Alexios.
R2, what are you doing?
Being in R2?
She's just like trying to climb in the window and there's nowhere for her to go.
Oh boy. Other than that, I mean, like, as I said, majority of my books are by Darren Shan. I got H.P. Lovecraft. I got 4 different books about with his tales. Including the one we both have, the complete fiction. But like we said earlier, like Vasson said earlier, we're going to have an episode dedicated to H.P. Lovecraft. We're just not going to tell you when. The hint is it's a certain day that is special to him. That's all I'm going to say on the matter. But, because he wrote my favorite short story of all time, The Terrible Old Man. And, of course, he wrote the 3-part The Call of Cthulhu. But again, we'll talk about him at a later date. So tune in for that. I have Bram Stoker's Dracula. And Robert Louis Stevenson's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which are very good. Damn it, hold back.
Are you having fun? Are you?
No, I am not. Sorry, this kid's not going to fucking bed. Alright. Where was I? Oh, yeah, I was about to talk about a book you might be interested in by Darren Shan. Because it's not really involves vampires or demons or zombies or gangsters or Incan origins or mysterious ladies of ghosts. This was a one-off book by Darren Shan. Dusty. It's been a while. This is The Thin Executioner.
Okay.
This is a one-off fantasy novel Darren Shan wrote. So I'm gonna go ahead and I would read the back, but the back just has something from a line from the book. But it was actually inspired by Adventures of Huckleberry Finn.
Okay.
That's the inspiration for it. In a kingdom of merciless tyrants, Jabal Rum's family is royalty. His father is the executioner, but Rashed Rum is near retirement And when he goes, there will be a contest to determine his successor. It's a contest that thin, puny Jable has no chance of winning. Humiliated and ashamed, Jable sets out on a quest to the faraway home of a legendary fire god to beg for human power so that he can become the most lethal of men. He must take with him a slave named Tel Hassan to be sacrificed to the god. It will be a dark and brutal journey filled with lynch mobs, suicide cults, terrifying monsters, and worse, monstrous men. But to Jable, the risk is worth it. To retrieve his honor, to wield unimaginable power, to become the Thin Executioner.
Interesting.
It's very good. It's 400 pages long. Got a hardcover of it, but the fucking sleeve is so... I've read it so many times, the sleeve is apart.
Nice.
The sleeve is pretty cool. It actually is like, it says the Thin Executioner, and actually has like somebody wearing an executioner mask. But it's more of like an adventure. Like Jable has this goes on this adventure, knowing that he really wants this power, but on the way, he's starting to question himself, and it's like, again, like the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, like that kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
So that one, I think, be interesting. Like, other than that, I mean, I have like stories by Edgar Allan Poe because I love Poe. It's like crazy. Like Telltale Heart, The Castle of Amontillado, The Raven, Murder in the Rouge Morgue, The Fall of the House of Usher, that kind of stuff. I got one book Vaseline really wants to read, but I told him never.
Is it that one you brought up that we saw in Barnes & Noble?
Nope. But what was the one we saw in Barnes & Nobles?
That comic one?
No. BioShock Rapture.
Oh, that one.
The story of how Rapture was made. It is so good.
You suck.
It's only $7 on Amazon. Shit, I think it's free on Kindle Unlimited. But it's good. I actually have a novelization of Alan Wake. They made a novelization of that.
I have the novelization of like Assassin's Creed Origins.
That's the one you were telling me about, because I got the novelization of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which I haven't read yet, but I read... Actually, I lied. They had a... in the description, they have, I think, the first couple pages. It's written very well. So I was like, I know it's going to be written similar to how the BioShock Rusher book is written, so... Be easy. I mean, I got hardcovers of like classic horror stories, and that one that has like the monkey's paw.
Yeah.
And other ones, Penny Dreadfuls, which
I have Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and I have the Portrait of Dorian Gray.
See, I don't have the portrait. I have Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Actually, my aunt got me for Christmas. She got me Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the 200th anniversary edition, which actually has like pictures in it. I have a similar like Edgar Allan Poe one she got me too. That's similar. It's like how do I explain this? It's not like a normal book size. It's really like long, not long, wide, I should say. But it's like really good. But it's the entire book. Plus, I have a manga adaptation of Frankenstein I told you about by Junji Ito, which was really good.
Yeah, you told me about that.
That one was really good. I'm actually reading Uzumaki by him, which that one's fucking crazy. It has to do with like fucking spiral.
Spiral?
Apparently, like a spiral, like a hypno wheel, like that kind of thing. Every story has something to do with it. Apparently, the spirals are like evil curses and stuff. Like one that turns a really fat kid into a snail because he's always slow. He comes out in the rain. But it's like so. But here's the thing. Yeah, it sounds funny, but it's really grotesque and shit. Seeing his eyeballs like extend like a snail and turns into a giant snail humanoid. It's fucking crazy. Maybe we'll have a podcast episode talking about him. because he's fucking batshit crazy.
I want to do one, probably one of these days on the Godzilla franchise.
Yes, we need to do that, Toho.
I might get Rambo in on that one.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you mentioned that before. Might get our second ever guest. Oh yeah, I have Penny Dreadful, Sensational Tales of Terror. Now, Penny Dreadful was what they called in London in the 1800s, which is a scary story. They call it a Penny Dreadful. That one actually has. I own 2 copies now of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde because I have the book, and it's in the Penny Dreadfuls.
I actually don't have a copy of Jekyll and Hyde.
That's a good book. I found an audiobook online. That's also a good thing too for people who. Here's a little hint for anybody who wants to try to read classic literature like Dracula, or like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, or Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, or even Poe. You can always go to YouTube and find an audiobook. For Edgar Allan Poe and H.P. Lovecraft, I highly recommend GM Danielson's YouTube page because he does great job narrating.
GM Danielson is great at that kind of stuff.
Yes. For Dracula, I found I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. It's a YouTube video. I looked up Dracula audiobook. What it was is they got different voice actors to do the different characters. So it really felt like you were listening to either the play or watching the movie, the Francis Ford Coppola one with Gary Oldman. Because that's how the Francis Ford was actually the book. For the Mary Shelley one, I found one, but it was just a guy straight reading it. For Jekyll and Hyde, I actually found one. The guy who straight rode. He voiced all the characters, but when he read for Mr. Hyde, he distorted his voice and made it sound creepy, really heavy Cockney, but guttural.
Nice.
I can't mimic it, but it's not guttural, demonic, but it's like a wild animal. Best I can describe it. It's because that's what Mr. Hyde is. Fucking crazy. The Phantom of the Opera and Other Gothic Tales. Haven't read it yet, but I've watched, the original. I own the Universal version of the movie, and I own the Lon Chaney Sr. silent film. Of course, I have the Zombie Survival Guide.
Oh, you have that? I almost bought that for my dad.
Oh, I got it. It's fucking hysterical. And then that actually got me into wanting to get World War Z even before the movie came out with Brad Pitt. Which World War Z, it was really good. The book was really good. The movie was good, but the book is way better.
That's generally how it is.
That's why I have a bookmark that says "Don't judge a book by its movie," because that's truth.
It is.
It's truth. Oh, what was the other thing? Because I forgot to mention it with the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I do own the book, but they released graphic novels of the books.
Oh, did they?
Yes. I own the first 2 of the graphic novels, which each book gets 2 graphic novels. So I own the first book in graphic novel form, which is really good. It's really well drawn. And it's pretty much the book.
Hey, Venti, how are you?
Hey, Venti. I do want to get the rest of them, but Girl Kicked the Hornet's Nest, when I looked at it first, was almost $50 because they're, I guess,
$50? Jesus.
That's not the most I've paid for a comic book. You know the most I ever paid for a comic book was?
What?
$65. Because it's Freddy versus Jason versus Ash, and it's out of print.
Well, that's why. It's because it's out of print.
And it was a used one, but when I got it, it was brand fucking new, so I got a steal for it. Because a new copy of it was going for $200.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
The Nightmare Warriors, which is the sequel, which wasn't really that good, almost $500. Buy a fucking Xbox One X with that shit. Yeah, and I think the most I've ever spent on a book What the most I ever spent on a book would be? Oh yeah, the H.P. Lovecraft complete fiction. Cause actually no, because I got lucky. I ordered on Father's Day, so I got 5% off, or 10% off. You code books for dad, and then they emailed
Nice.
me a 15% off coupon, so I got 25% off the book.
Nice.
Damn, what was the most expensive book I ever bought?
I think the most expensive book I ever bought was like $25, something like that. I don't tend to spend much more on a book than that. I'll wait if I really want something. I'll wait until it goes on sale.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Friday the 13th, the complete Crystal Lake Memories, but that was a Christmas gift. But that was like $50. But it's a gigantic book. It's like it's almost as big as like a fucking one of those atlas you see in like the library that like has its own table.
Yeah.
It's fucking huge. I guess like $20. I buy a lot of my books on Amazon, and I guess the main question a lot of people are asking is, why buy a book when you can get them on a Kindle? I understand. Like, I have my Kindle app back on my phone, but I'm old-fashioned. Same thing like with DVDs. Why do you collect DVDs? Because I like to look at them.
Okay,
It's
so
kind of like,
and there's another thing besides being old-fashioned or liking the look of those things. It's because you technically don't own that digital content.
very true.
Like somebody could decide at Amazon or at one of these one of these digital, like Xbox Marketplace, PlayStation 4, Nintendo, whatever. Someone could decide, oh, I'm gonna pull my game from the store, and yeah, you may be able to download it again later, but if they decide to pull that away from you, then what do you have left?
Nothing.
It's just a bunch of data. I mean,
Oh,
true. I mean, true. You still own it on your device, but if it gets taken and God forbid something happens that it takes it away off your device, which could happen. It
You're
could
fucked.
happen. You're done. Like you spent that money on that piece of data and now it's gone. Like there are ways for those companies to take those things off your devices via updates and shit like that. I've
Very
never
true.
seen it. I've never heard of it happening, but I know that we have the technology to be able to do that, and you've got to be very careful with that kind of stuff.
We could take your DVDs. We have technology. The 6 million peso man.
Oh my god. 6 million peso man.
Okay, I said oranges.
But yeah, be careful with digital media.
Yeah, going with the digital, like Vaseline. Before I bought that Bioshock Rapture, the book itself, like the paperback, I had it on my phone. When I got my Kindle app back on my new phone, it only let me get the sample. It was only after I bought the book that the sample went back to being having a full book. I was like, well, shit. It's like, well, I spent $7 on a book I already own that I bought for $5 off Kindle. Plus, I just like the feeling of like just opening up a book, like a paperback or a hardcover, and you feel the pages. Because it's just like it feels more like on a phone.
Like on a phone, you're just reading a screen. Like there's no, and you're swiping with your finger. There's no real.
Well, actually,
thing holding your hand.
If you got a Nook like my aunt has, they actually have it where like the page actually kind of like animates, like you're actually flipping it.
Yeah, my Kindle does that.
Yeah,
I have a first generation Kindle Fire and it does that.
But no, it's not the same.
That's why
sure.
Used bookstores are your friend. That's where I got this.
Now Amazon's your friend.
I go to Charleston and go get used books there.
Amazon's your friend, except when it's not.
Because at least down there I can read a couple pages before I buy it. Not like
True.
Amazon where you get the front cover, like a couple pages in the middle of the damn book, and then the back cover.
True, but you can if you have the Kindle, you can get a sample of said book.
Not always.
True too. But again, like with the like I got lucky when I bought Assassin's Creed Odyssey. They actually had, I think, 2 or 3 of the, or like probably the first chapter of the book in the description. Like that's where they're describing the
really?
book. Yeah, it was actually like they had like from the book because I actually found it in the book when I was skimming. So it's from the book, which got me interested into it. And I was like, all right. I was already interested in trying to pick it up because I was like, I'm going to try to see. Because again, Odyssey has a lot of decisions that are different. You can make the story different in your own way. Mm-hmm. So Odyssey is the novelization is actually like what really went down in that time frame. And the only audiobook I own, like autobiography, not audiobook, autobiography I own is The Hardcore Diaries by Mick Foley because I love Mick Foley. I'm a huge pro wrestling fan. This is telling Mick Foley, instead of working like a lot of other wrestlers didn't really, they had their own biographies released. Yeah. But that was written with a ghostwriter. Mick Foley actually sat down and wrote the book.
Nice.
His first one was Have a Nice Day, which I want to get that one. That details more of like his beginnings in wrestling. Then there was Foley is Good, which was his sequel, which is kind of like right in the middle of his career. The Hardcore Diaries was leaning towards the end of his career in 2004, 2005, and then when he left WWE to go to TNA. He wrote another book in TNA, which didn't sell very well. He's written 2 other books that have nothing to do with wrestling, which I haven't read, but he's a New York Times bestselling author. I want to get the Have a Nice Day book because that it details more about Mankind and his thoughts going through it and what he felt when he got thrown off a fucking 20-foot cage into an announce table and still stood back up and finished the match. And he had a bruised kidney, a dislocated jaw, 2 of his teeth went missing, and one of them went right up his nose.
Wow.
Had a dislocated shoulder. And he had thumbtacks in his back too, and he didn't remember anything. Like he had to ask the referee, like, "Did I use thumbtacks?" And the referee looked at him like, "Yes, Foley, Mick, you used thumbtacks," and he's got like fucking 10 thumbtacks sticking out in his arm.
Jeez.
What about the chair? You don't, because that's the thing with these wrestlers. People just like, oh, it's fake. Yeah, it's staged, yeah, but you try taking a bump in one of those rings. I've taken a bump in a ring. It's not a fucking trampoline. It's like fucking hitting concrete. It's hard. It's plaster. It's like the ring mat. You have a little bit of padding, wood and steel.
Yep. It's about the same kind of thing you get on a dojo mat.
They have a little spring in the middle of the ring to kind of help with certain high-flying moves, but that's about fucking it. But the book was the Hardcore Diaries was really well written because it was written through. I think it's better that Mick wrote the book because who better knows the person they're writing of than the person himself? Because he asked if he could write the book himself. It is WWE documentary. What was it called again? I don't remember. I'm about to rewatch it tomorrow. But it's For the Love of Mankind. This is a documentary he talked about writing the book, which I gotta go find it after this podcast is done because I can order it. Because I could read the first one because apparently it sold out better than Stephen King that year.
Really?
Yeah, it's like there was a line stretch and they couldn't get the books out of the box fast enough because Barnes and Noble was complaining to the publishers that they could not get the books out of the box fast enough to sell it.
Nice.
That popular. I mean, I do have I'm starting to get more classic literature, and I'm trying to get more into mythology. a majority of my collection now is manga.
Yeah, he has a lot of manga.
Do you want to know how much exactly? Because I'll tell you that story. A buddy of mine I used to work with back at Kroger a couple of years ago, because I was bringing manga and asked me how many did I own. I actually sat down and counted every single one. Now, keep in mind, I own a lot of mangas that are 2-in-1 or 3-in-1 because they're cheaper and you're getting more books out of them. So when it's a 3-in-1, I count that as I don't count that as just one. I count it as 3 because technically it's 3 volumes. Because when you read it, it actually ends how a regular manga would, and it actually has the opening part 2. So like when you finish volume 1, like for example, One Piece, I own the first 9 volumes, so it's like a 3-in-1. So when you finish volume 1, it goes to volume 2, but it has like the page that would be in there for volume 2 to introduce you to it, the introduction page. As of now, I own 245 mangas.
Nice.
You know what's worse? I'm about to order the first 27 volumes of Naruto.
The original? Nice.
Yes, they have the box. It's like $100, but think of it this way: mangas are about $10 each. Paperbacks,
Yeah.
that is.
I
It's
have
100.
I have the first 12 volumes of Full Metal Alchemist.
I only got the first
And
6 because
then I have like I have 23, 24, 25. So
I can't do that.
because I got them from Goodwill, like it was all a set. It's like rubber banded together, like all 15 of them. It was like $10. I'm like, okay.
Okay. Yeah, so because I originally had Naruto, but I gave him to my brother because I had a period of time where I stopped watching anime.
I actually have the first Naruto fan book. I still have this thing. I need to find a place for it. I need to find a place for that. Yeah, I still have that. That was from middle school, and I still have it.
Damn. Funny thing, actually, because the middle school, I don't know, you Bay, did you?
What?
You didn't go to Ocean Bay, did you?
No, I went to Blackwater.
No. Ocean Bay actually had, when I first went down there, they actually had manga you can check out. There was Naruto.
Oh yeah, we had it there too.
Yeah, they never had that up north.
My mom was like, you're not gonna get that. It's not good for you. I'm like, what's so bad about it? It's still a book.
It's just a comic. It's just a comic books book. Rot your brain.
Yeah, that's what she told me. I'm like, no, shut up, Mom.
Yeah, let me show her fucking Junji Ito, and let's see if they rot your brain.
Yeah, right.
Now it's a Naruto 1 in 27 volume box set. It includes a mini guide. It includes volumes 1 through 27, a double-sided poster, and a special Naruto booklet. And it comes in a big box.
Nice.
Because I used to have them, but I got out of anime for about 2 years. Like, I was starting to distance myself away from anime and manga. So I gave them to my brother, and you fucking know him.
Oh god, yeah.
Can't keep track of fucking anything, so they're long gone. Which I had them out of order anyway. I didn't even have the first. I had like 17 and I think 13. That was it. So now this is a way for me to actually read them all, because it's $117 for the box set. Originally it was like $200 when I first saw it, and I was like, I'm gonna wait till it goes down, and it went down, thank God. So you think of it this way: each volume's $10. You're getting 11. You're paying for 11 volumes. The 12th volume you're only paying about $7 and change, even if you include tax, and the rest you're getting for free.
Yeah.
That's how I figure it out. So I'm gonna order that soon, so I can start reading those. But there's any other books I want to talk about. I mean, the only other books I own are, I mean, I got Notes of the Midnight Driver and Doppelganger, because they were like Yaba books, which for anyone who doesn't know, Yaba, it's a Young Adult Reading Award nominated book. They did this in our school our high school, where like they would have like these certain books that were going to be nominated for, and you
Yeah.
had to read them, you had to vote.
That's how I found out about the Warrior series, or the Air series, because that was one of them. The first one was.
You know, the only books I read that were on Yaba, Doppelganger, which I own because it was really good. Notes of the Midnight Driver. Don't own it, but I've read it. Was the Moral Instruments?
Oh, City of was it
Bones?
City of Bones was first, or was
Yeah.
it City of Glass?
No, City of Bones.
I don't remember.
I only read the first
My
one.
sister read that one.
Really wasn't up my alley.
My sister read that one.
I am going to admit it here on the podcast. I tried to read Twilight.
Oof.
Guess how far I got into it?
Like 2 pages?
1 page. Actually, 1 paragraph. And I was like, nope. I actually like left it in my room, waited a week, and then returned it. They said, how was it? I was like, shit.
Nice.
The one good thing about it, if I hadn't had returned it in a week, I would never have gotten into H.P. Lovecraft. Because I don't know if you knew this, they had an H.P. Lovecraft book at our library, our school's library.
Oh, did they?
They did.
Nice.
But it wasn't a full compilation. It was one of his stories. It was the short stories thing. So that's how I got into him. So I gotta kind of thank Twilight for that shit. So thanks, Stephanie Meyer. But I guarantee you, my vampires in Cirque du Freak can kick your sparkling vampires' asses. Fucking slash you with a goddamn sword. Yeah, they don't believe in guns. The vampires in that series, guns, crossbows, or any missile projectiles like slingshots, no. You have to swear an oath. If you use them, you're shunned. You're exiled from the clan. So you can't use a gun. They only believe in swords. And bows and arrows. They can't use bows and arrows either.
Well, yeah, because that's a projectile weapon.
Yeah, only hand-to-hand combat weapons like swords, axes, maces. You can use your own fists, daggers. You can use a throwing knife. They will allow that. And shurikens, because one of the vampire princes uses shurikens that he handmade. They allow that. That's about it. Those are the only exceptions. Because when I read about the guy with the shurikens, I was like, "That's a fucking throwing weapon. What the fuck?"
But it's a bladed weapon. It's not a projectile.
True, but like an arrow has a bow and arrow has an arrow tip. I don't know. But Stephanie Meyer, damn chance fucking vampires kick your sparkling vampires' asses. All your little fucking werewolves. Shit, the fucking werewolves in Demonotic and fucking rip apart Jacob. Because they're described more like fucking werewolves from like Underworld.
Yeah.
Not like the ones in Twilight, which are like actual giant fucking wolves. The only other book series that Sharon wrote was Zombie, which I own the first 7. On the first 7. I think there's only 10 books in that series. I never got the rest. I really didn't read the other ones. I only read the first book. It was pretty good. It's about a zombie apocalypse, but I might want to start reading them. I don't know. The only 2 books I got are Pages of Dust by Jacob Colton, which is the compilation of short horror stories this guy wrote. Which his hobbies include skiing, playing video games with his wife, and fencing.
Huh.
So that's something interesting. A short horror story writer likes to fence with swords.
Nice.
And then another one I got was Don't Look Away, 35 Chilling Tales of Terror, which is a Chilling Tales for Dark Nights publication book, which has some stories that they've narrated on Chilling Tales for Dark Nights YouTube page and the Chilling Tales for Dark Nights podcast. Like one about it,
formerly known as the Simply Scary podcast.
formerly known as the Simply Scary podcast. We talked about podcasts in our very first episode. So check that out in the highlights or on YouTube. So there you go. I plugged in that. And other than that,
one series I want to mention. I remember the first book of it was called Ashes of the Black Frost, and it was like this. It was like these elves. They were in an army, and I don't. It was written by Chris Evans, not the actor.
Wait, Chris Evans, Captain America, America's ass.
Yeah, America's ass. It was written by America's ass. Yeah.
Yes, make sure you always leave him out milk and cookies on July 3rd, otherwise he'll come and smack you with his shield. You'll wake up in bed the next morning, he'll be standing right above you and just boom, boom. It's like, next year don't forget the fucking cookies, and he just walks away. And this is America's ass walk away.
Oh my god. But
Continue.
yeah, the series is really good. I read the second book. I don't remember what it was called. I've been looking for the third book forever, but I've never found it.
Because it doesn't exist.
I mean, it exists, but I've never found it.
I mean, sometimes it might not have. What's his name again?
Chris Evans.
Book name.
Third one? I don't remember. I used to remember it. Oh, Ashes of a Black Frost.
Ashes.
It's probably on Amazon now because it's been it's been a couple years since I've looked for it.
Ashes of a Black Frost, POD Book 3 of the Iron Elves.
Yeah, Iron Elves. That was it.
It's 26.
Oh, that's the third one. What was the first one? What's the first one?
Oh no, that one's fucking 26.
A Darkness Forged in Fire. That was it.
That third book's $26.99 on Amazon for a paperback. Hardcover's $20. What the fuck? Wait, whoa.
The hardcover's cheaper than the paperback? Why?
What?
Okay, but here's
There's only one left in stock. Maybe that's why, and also it takes longer for it to get here.
Yeah.
And the Kindle's like $16.
Mm-hmm.
Continue. I'm just gonna look. I want to look up what he looks like. He looks like my old fucking high school biology teacher.
Does he really?
No, wait. No, he looks like that. Fuck. What's that one dude's name? Fuck. He has that show on FX. The guy that's balding.
Oh, George. What?
It's a guy. He has a show on FX. Fuck.
Oh, I don't know.
Louis. The show's called Louis.
I don't know. But essentially, the book mixes like high fantasy and like modern weaponry. So it's like cannons and muskets. Well, not modern weaponry, but like
Louis C.K. He looks like Louis C.K.
The comedian?
Yes.
But it mixes like muskets and cannons, bows and arrows, and magic, and it's really interesting.
Here's his biography.
Oh.
They tell me I was born in Canada. I do like hockey and I'm wearing a pair, so they're probably right. I now live in New York City, where when I need a break from writing and reading, I head off to Central Park, where I imagine I'm much faster than I really am. His words.
Yeah, I see it. I see it right here. So I've read Darkness, Forged in Fire, and the second book is The Light of Burning Shadows. I need to get the third one and finish out the damn series.
There's a book series my aunt's into. What the fuck's it called? Black Dagger Brotherhood. She's into a lot of romance. This one has to do with vampires.
Really?
But it's an Australian book series. but apparently people are like, there's a big fan base for it. That if apparently the guy who created True Blood wanted to make a book, which is trying to get a TV series based off the books, and they said that they were going to cast anybody like Jason Momoa characters because they describe one of the characters' description is like dead on with how Jason Momoa looks like.
Yeah.
Apparently, how my aunt says, and I was like, "Yeah, read your vampires with their man buns and their man beards, their tattoos, and live in New York." She says it's good. I mean, she's the one aunt that if I'm asking for, if I'm going to ask for a classic horror like Frankenstein and Dracula for Christmas or a manga, she'll buy me the classic horror because she's a fanatic just like.
Yeah.
So she's like, was my godson and my godson and my local horror nut. I got her an
Nice.
H.P. Lovecraft. She's reading it. She got the same H.P. Lovecraft book I got, the Great Tales of Horror, because our family friend of ours, who's the one tattoo artist I told you about, was going to do my tattoo. She read H.P. Lovecraft too, and I was telling her, and I told her about Gene Danielson, so she started.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of that comic book, the comic book everybody he's referring to before about the one we saw in Barnes and Nobles that I bought because I have to have it, is called The Adventure Zone, which pretty much, if you love D&D, speaking of which, D&D on Vaslin's channel is every Thursday and Saturday, so don't miss that.
No, just Thursday. On Saturday, it's on the SSG channel.
Oh, right. Sorry. If you love D&D, this comic book series actually makes fun of it. Like, it's like, that's it on it. Yes, it's fucking, the second book is out. I gotta buy it.
Oh, the second one's out now?
Yes. I knew it was coming out in July. There's a hardcover version of it. Fuck. Well, I have like a paperback of the first one, so I'll stick with paperback because it's cheaper. Yes, Adventure Zone. Murder Rockport. Murder. What is it? Hold on. I can't read. Murder on the Rockport Limited. Pretty much, this comic book is based off a D&D podcast, but it's so fucking funny because it follows three events: a warrior, a mage, and a dwarf. Warrior is kind of like stupid.
Mm-hmm.
The mage is an elf that's gay, and the dwarf is like just a little guy that always messes up. But it's so fucking funny. Where like he's rolling he's casting a charming spell, and he's like, "Fuck! I think I rolled an 18. Am I still good?" Which he overpowered it, and like the dungeon master is always in a little bubble, just gives him a thumbs up. It's like, "Yeah, you're good." But the first book is called The Adventure Zone, Volume 1. Here There Be Gerblins. That's Gerblins. Gerblins.
Gerblins.
That's what it's called. It's actually a pretty long comic book because when I was reading it, one of the people, because I work at a nursing home for anybody, one of the short-term resident guys, his son's a big D&D player, so I was telling him about this comic because he saw it. He's like, "That's a fucking." He's like, "That's a comic." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "A lot of comics are like this now, where they're like pretty. They're not like the thin ones back like in the early 50s and 60s, where like they're like maybe 20 pages and that's it." I was like, half of these comics I own are like 200, 300 pages, including like mangas. So now I know order that Naruto book and the Adventure Zone too, because I gotta know how the adventure continues. I'll tell you how it was, and you'll be more pissed off at me.
Okay.
Like you fucking asshole.
You're gonna do that anyway, so
probably. Sorry, James Colton, you're gonna have to wait because I gotta get the page of Dust. There's only 3 volumes of Pages of Dust. If anybody's interested, but he has written other ones. There's another one I found by James Colton that sounded interesting. It's called The Legend of Istvan.
Istvan.
Istvan. I think that's how I'm terrible at pronouncing names. So here's the description. My story is known by few, but even they don't know the whole terrible truth. I remember when the world savior ascended to heaven. I survived his bloody fall. I was there when he betrayed us for a memory. Who can save us now? The coward prince paralyzed by guilt? The shadows who, like me, have been forgotten by history? Only I know what must be done, but I can't do anything, for I am his prisoner. Time is running out, the apocalypse looms over us, and I fear the world will burn. That got my attention, and there's one review, and it's a 5 out of 5. Yeah, it's more like it's not really a horror. It looks right up my end. So I'll have to wait. I guess I'll have to wait on it. Sorry. But Adventure Zone, Murder on the Rockport, it comes first. Naruto, now you're at second. So if I can't get... That's about it for...
Yeah, I think that's about it, because it's 1 a.m.
Damn, I gotta get up at 6:30.
Go to bed.
Don't tell me what to do!
Thank you all for hanging out. We do appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. If you missed this episode entirely, it'll be in the highlights later sometime this week, and also on YouTube. Check it out on YouTube. Definitely follow and like the Apollion Twitter and Facebook pages, so you never miss an upload. Whenever Vaslin is streaming by himself, or we stream yours truly, me and him stream every Wednesday. Every other Wednesday we do this podcast, and then every other Wednesday. Right now we're playing Borderlands in chronological order, so we're almost done with pre-sequel, so we can get on Borderlands 2. So this way, we're done with Borderlands 2 by the time Borderlands 3's first DLC comes out.
Hopefully. I doubt it. I highly doubt it, because there's so much DLC to that one.
No, it's probably going to be like Borderlands 3 is going to have a Game of the Year edition by the time we're done with Borderlands 2.
Right.
Yeah, definitely check it out. Vaslin recently played yesterday. If you missed it, he played Vampire, because he asked me which one he should play, and I told him to play Vampire, because it's pretty good. So definitely check that out if you missed it.
If you like what you saw here today, feel free to hit that follow button.
Yes.
And turn on notifications. That way you see when I go live.
And also in the Discord, on the Apollion page, go to stream and stuff, and you go to, is it stream discussions?
No, it's the Apollicast. There's a channel for it now.
Oh, there is a channel for it. Oh yeah, go to the hashtag Apollicast. You can submit any suggestions for an episode you want to listen to. We talk, unlike Fox's Den that Vaslin does with Silver Games. We talk about comic books, movies, TV shows, anime, manga, video games. We just talked about literature today, science fiction, horror, that kind of. We talk about just pick a topic and we had it. If you missed any episodes, we had our.
Okay, the first one was all about podcasts. Second one was Doctor Who. Third one we had our first guest, just DJ Bronze League, and we talked about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yes, also definitely.
This one we did.
Favorite authors, which I was nervous about doing because some people were like, nerds. And I say to those people, fuck you. Because I have a higher vocabulary than you.
I mean, we had a guy come in today and say the Earth was flat. So...
Yes, all you dullards can smash rocks while we gain more knowledge and higher vocabulary skills from our classic literature.
But yeah,
smash.
I think that's the end of the stream, because it is 1 a.m. and we both have work tomorrow.
Yes, but you don't have to go as early as me.
True.
Bullshit. But thank God after tomorrow I can sleep in a little bit more, so I have to get up not so early. So yeah.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you for being here. Hope you all have a good night.